Sorry. There we go.
Mine's up.
Okay.
Are we ready, Shelby? Excellent.
We're just missing Tony right now.
We've got enough to start, though, don't we?
Yep. Got it.
So then we're going to start. Good evening. I'm going to call to order the May 14th. May 14th meeting of the City of Kalamazoo Zoning Board of Appeals. We are a volunteer advisory board appointed by the City Commission. Would staff please conduct the roll call?
Hahn,
Here.
Wark,
Here.
Holler,
Here.
Vanden Hamburg,
Here.
Harrington,
Present.
and McReynolds, which Tony did respond he was going to attend tonight, so I presume he's just running a little bit behind.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
we'll keep pushing forward, and if we need his vote, we'll wait on him. All right. So, are there any announcements or changes to the posted agenda?
The one announcement I have is just a reminder that the zoning board of appeals training with the City of Portage Zoning Board of Appeals is this coming Monday, May 18th. And it is at Portage City Hall, which is 7900 South Westnedge. It starts at 7. Please show up a few minutes early if you can. We will provide refreshments and snacks, but not a dinner per se. So, and I will be there as well, and Attorney Bear will be there too. And that's all I've got for announcements.
Terrific, terrific. All right. Approval of the minutes. Are there, I assume everybody's had a chance to look at it, are there any corrections that need to be made to last month's minutes?
When you say corrections, what do you mean by that? Like, is that different than anything it's ever meant before?
Are they accurate to whatever last month's meeting was?
Well, I think that there needs to be something on record surrounding what happened last meeting, as in regards to the attendance of the secretary, which was formerly me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd like that to be addressed.
What's the inaccuracy in the minutes then?
The inaccuracy as well, it's not necessarily, it's disordered in terms of the rationale. And so I made a statement about my, attendance being called into question as a reason to nominate someone else. And so I just wanted it to be on record since that's being overlooked right now. I'd just like that to be read into the current record for the public domain, please.
I guess I'm not sure I'm understanding. So are the minutes are missing some clarification
Correct.
that you want, like a response to?
I just
you
want it to be included into the minutes.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So there's something you want to say in response to the minutes?
I just want it on
or-
record that I have the exact same amount of absences as the person that was nominated to replace me.
I'd like to see more detail in the first part of I guess maybe the conversation between Remy and I. The second part was fine when we got to our business, but, and as far as the detail goes, I would have to go back and actually look at what was missed, but in reading it, there seemed to be a fair amount that was missed, and about the, I guess the absences that Remy referred to that was the same as Beth's was, Beth's absences were over a 12-month period, and I think Remy's was over a 7-month period.
So is this?
No, it's in terms of, Shelby, would you like to address that? It was over the 13-month period of the nomination or the election. So all of it. So you have to take the cumulative number. You can't just say that over the course of a certain amount of time and apply it. It was over the course of 13 months. So I get that you're trying to justify your position, but the reality is that over the course of 13 months, which is the amount of time that the attendance record that for the time that I was the secretary,
So
in that role, we have the same amount of absences, and I'd like that to just simply be included in the record.
is this something that was discussed at the last meeting, what you're saying, or is this something?
Yes.
Okay, so make a motion for what you want added to the minutes.
I would like to make a motion that the amount of absences that I had are also the same amount of absences that Gary Vice Chair Work, he used my absences as a rationale to nominate someone else. I made a statement at the last meeting that that's not what should have happened, that if he had wanted to nominate somebody on their own, for his own reasoning, he shouldn't have brought me into it. And so since he wanted to say that my absences were the reason that he nominated Secretary Vanden Homburg, I'd like it to be on record that Secretary Vanden Homburg has the same exact amount of absences that I do.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
May I interject? This is not appropriate to add to the meeting minutes from the last meeting because these are comments being made that did not occur at the last meeting.
Thank you.
What's being said right now is being recorded and will be reflected in the meeting minutes for this particular meeting. So it will be on the record, it just will not be on the record for last month.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ironically, discussing absences, I was not present to hear this discussion.
Yeah.
But that was a long planned absence, so I don't know if that makes it better, but there you go. Thank you. Then
Well,
I
I
get.
just wanted on record.
Nope, go ahead. I wasn't stopping you.
Okay.
I don't know where we would put that under on here. I don't know. Shelby will figure it out, I'm sure. So then, aside from that, is there any corrections to the minutes?
I asked for more detail.
Okay.
And I would also like to say that this is consistent in a microcosm of what's happening in the United States surrounding the disempowerment of the Black constituency. On record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, these are recorded. We have a recording that we can refer to, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So what is the procedure then to get more detail on it? Do we just look at Shelby and say, write a book? Or does somebody have to, I don't know, Charlie, you're the guy that's going to do the parliamentary answering. Whose responsibility is it then to produce minutes they think that are more appropriate or more accurate to the meeting if they disagree with it? Aside from, say, a small correction like, hey, you missed that I said this particular thing.
I think that responsibility lies with who.
Okay. So then I guess that goes to Shelby. Just so that when she's not re-augmenting, when she's augmenting this, what is it just about the absences that you're asking for more detail in the minutes, Gary?
I think most of it was, I think I said that Remy wasn't at that meeting when we voted for new officers. And I think that had Remy been at that meeting, things would have went very differently, but she wasn't there. She didn't tell us that she wasn't going to be there. She didn't tell us that she was still interested in being a secretary.
That's just not true. Pete, can you please speak to this? That's just not true. It's just not true.
Did you say that?
100%. You're just not telling the truth.
Yeah, I
And you
am.
keep dragging things. Like, you won't just stop. Like, that's not what happened.
I did have an email from Remy that she would be interested in continuing to serve it, if that's how the vote turned out. So, that was acknowledged.
It's just so much
before the meeting.
misinformation.
Well, then I apologize. I wasn't aware of that.
Gary, okay, all right. It's fine. I'm not mad. I'm just saying, don't misrepresent me. I'm not angry. I'm just saying you can't espouse, misinformation in a public domain.
None of us knew that.
Okay, well, I don't know what to say. I did send the email. So if that wasn't communicated to this board, I don't know what to say.
Okay.
I have no recollection of whether it was or not.
Well, it was, and it's on record. So stop misrepresenting me. That's all I'm saying. You can say whatever you want. Even, I'm not mad. I'm saying just don't misrepresent me.
Okay, so what we can do here is Shelby and I will review the meeting minutes with the video footage from the last meeting for that portion of the discussion that went on, and make sure that we have, the detail. If there's something missing, we will add it in there and make note of that, and we'll bring the meeting minutes with the corrections back for next month.
And Pete, I have another question. So why is it acceptable for Gary to say that he wants more information, but it's not to incorporate that into the minutes? But for me, it's not okay to say my statement, and there's disordered rationale that's not reflective of the reality.
I don't think Pete's saying that what you have to say shouldn't be noted, but it's going to be noted in this month's minutes, because it wasn't in last month's meeting. I think that's what he's getting at.
Okay, so all of this will be in this month's meeting.
Yes.
Correct.
We should have correct last month.
Okay, and it's a fair question. It's a good question.
I get it. I think I get it now.
So what Mr. Wark is asking us to do is go back and see if there's detail missing from that discussion last month. And so we will review the audio and the video, and if there's detail missing, we will add that in there, because if those are things that actually happened at that meeting, they belong in the meeting minutes.
I see.
But we're not adding anything unless it occurred at that last meeting.
Yeah, the actual attendance records weren't available until this meeting.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
the numbers might have been discussed generally, but not specific.
sure. Yes, sir. Yeah,
That's why they have to go in here, because they've only been available.
I understand.
Here.
That's fine. Yeah, thank you.
So in attendance, in regard to the attendance records, do we have excused and unexcused? Is there such a thing?
No, we don't do excused. You're either present or you're absent.
So, okay.
Some boards do that, but that's not provided for in our bylaws, so we do not.
So if you were to call in and at least let people know that, you're not going to be there, then there could be a substitute fill-in, and that wouldn't necessarily be excused.
Reasons to call in, so that
Right.
one of the alternates. We can make sure that, or Pete can make sure that an alternate is available in here.
Okay.
And certainly notifying Pete enough in advance that he has time to make that arrangement.
Yeah.
So we're clearly not approving the minutes for this month. We'll have to flip that to next month's agenda. Thank you. Adjourn to next month's agenda now. And I may want to go look at that as well.
Yeah, and we can also take a tally of all of our attendance, like over the course of the years that I've been on this board, in contrast to the rest of the board, we can do that.
If you would like
we can
me
do
to,
that also.
if you would like me to read out what the attendance
Yeah,
was for the
that-
last year, I'm happy to do
For
that.
or we can or we don't, or you can bring everybody's like attendance over the course of the time that they've been on board. That would be.
I have the,
yeah, we
I
can-
have the spreadsheet of the
Yeah.
last, 13 months or so. I guess the 12 months preceding, 13 months preceding whatever that meeting was. I
Yeah.
can tell you what everybody's absences were.
Okay.
Well, one
Let's see,
thing
Allison
that-
was absent once, Remy was absent.
Excuse me. I guess one of the concerns that I have is maybe moving forward, we need to have a protocol for absences, whether they are excused or unexcused, in the sense, if we're going to go through that, are we comparing apples to apples or apples to oranges? So for example, someone saying, hey Pete, hey board, hey everyone, I'm going to be on vacation this time and this time. Use myself for example. And giving 4 months, 6 months notice, some amount of notice so that one of our alternates can be secured is a big difference than someone not showing up or someone sending a text or an email without enough time to secure an alternate. So that, and to paint another board member as engaging in unkind, unprofessional, and discriminatory practices concerns me.
Are you referring to me?
I'm referring to anybody.
Okay, because what I would like.
That's a problem.
Okay, what specifically is your problem?
If we're going to take attendance, then let's make sure that we're prepared, that we're making an accurate comparison.
Okay, so for me, there have been a few different experiences that I've had on this board that make me question why we would want to disempower or create more rigidity towards participation or how we engage in participation. So for me, I think that a more judicious approach to addressing the issue of attendance and timeliness would be to reinstate or to re-emphasize, not reinstate, but re-emphasize the necessity of maintaining a protocol that people call, or people, to the point that you all are making, you know, if you're going to be absent, we'd like to know as soon as, you know, as far in advance as possible. And we'd like to make sure that people are coming, you know, 15 minutes before, you know, just so that we're not painting out the picture of the people that we profess to respect on this board and what they reflect and represent in our community. To me, that feels like a more respectful approach to handling protocol. But to police the attendance of people on a volunteer constituent board, and specifically when there is selective enforcement about what that looks like, whether or not they told you a year in advance that they were going to be gone, or whether they said it the same day. The reality is that the person was not there, and there's a responsibility that they have to the board. And so if there's a values assessment here that feels like it's being called into question. And so when we're selectively enforcing things, and those things are reflective and representative of people, for instance, you and I have the same amount of absences. And so what we're really talking about is the way that we engage on the board. And so that's what is being called into question. And what I'm feeling like is that there's people that they're not here now, right? Or whatever else. We are making an assessment about those people and their participation on this board. And I think that's weird. I think that's very weird. I think that to be respectful of everyone, to again re-emphasize the importance of the protocol of attendance and timeliness, I think that that's absolutely appropriate, and it doesn't embarrass people, and it doesn't call them into question. It doesn't call their commitment into question. It doesn't call their character into question. But to do what you guys are doing right now, and then when it's clear that there's an issue of representation, I think that that's really, it's an underhanded approach to, there's something underhanded about it that's real corny to me. And I just, you know, I don't know what you're offended about. Like,
Shelby,
what you offended about?
doesn't Shelby
I'm
reach out
offended.
to the board members every single month to find out if
I'm not offended.
attending or not?
About what?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think an issue has been identified here. The board has the ability, certainly, and has developed policies and procedures, bylaws.
I can't hear you.
This is something
I can't
that
hear you.
can be addressed through. Okay, I'm not close enough to the microphone. So I'll start over. An issue has been identified, and certainly that has to deal with policies and procedures of the board regarding attendance. The board has the ability to adopt policies and procedures. That's through the bylaws. Certainly, the board can review and address, if it chooses to do so, an amendment to the bylaws. I think that requires maybe a little more thorough discussion, just how you want to do that, and is perhaps a separate issue from what we're dealing with here with the minutes, and something that we can address in the future to address the concerns that have been expressed.
Attorney Barrett, I just want to get clear. So this board wants to raise up a shift in the bylaws to make them more rigid so that people that are not attending have to account for their participation in a way that does what? That excludes them from participation or puts them under the scrutiny and the speculation of...
Well, if you're not here, you can't participate.
True. That's true.
Typically, with this kind of provision, a distinction is made between excused absences and unexcused absences. An excused absence is where you're on vacation, you have a family matter you need to attend to, you contact Pete, the board then can make a determination, yep, that absence is excused. Unexcused absences, you simply aren't showing up and you aren't participating. So
Sure.
it only has a reflection on participation to the extent that you aren't showing up and not participating.
Sure.
Some boards even only allow a certain number of unexcused absences.
I've been on a
And then
board that didn't care. It was absences straight up. If you had 3, you're off.
Yeah, I mean,
what-
I'm not saying you need to go that way,
I'd rather not.
but I'm saying that's something you can consider. Is that more fair? And does that make the distinction between the apples and oranges that
I just need us to
Beth is referring to?
refreshen.
You know, but that's something the board can discuss if it chooses to do so.
I don't wish to discuss it. I just wish we were all here every time, and I know that's not entirely possible.
Like I said, I wish we would
Nevertheless.
resist the embodied practice of oppression. I think we need to resist it. Resist it. Resist.
I'm not going to call asking everybody to be here every possible time they can to be oppression.
No, that's obviously not what I'm saying, but I think that to police people into participation or you're out, that's really,
We're a volunteer board. It's not a
Oh my
volunteer
God.
when you feel like it. It's you volunteered, you took on this responsibility, now show up and do it. I
So-
don't want to be that guy, and I feel like I'm being shoved into that box of being that guy.
well,
but-
let's read the
but-
attendance then.
But ultimately, you know, we're here as volunteers. If you can't do it as a volunteer, just don't do it. It's not a volunteer, as I say, it's not volunteer when you can. Or when you want. It's you signed up for it and you volunteer. And if you can't, then maybe you got to leave the board. I don't know. Tony's ears should be burning right now. He's expected tonight, and he's not sitting here. And he's got, frankly, the most of the absences of anybody.
I mean, I don't want to throw Tony under the bus either, right? Like, let's just
I don't want to either. I
but that
value
speaks-
his opinion when he's here.
I mean, so let's
But
just.
I want him to be here.
Let's just keep his name out our mouth. You know what I mean? Like, let's just, if those things, let's handle it with some civility and give people their dignity. Give people their dignity. Like, who are we, their dad? Like, what are we doing? Are we like, let's stop policing people.
I was on a board prior to this. It was in the early 2000s, and it was with the city of Kalamazoo. And I wasn't able to term out because my work took me to East Lansing regularly, and I had to miss what I thought was a fair amount of meetings, and I resigned. And
mean-
someone else stepped up and took my place. It was very easy.
The board doesn't have to do anything on this. As it stands right now, the commission has the authority to appoint board members, and the commission has the authority to remove board members. So it can simply be left up to the commission if there is an issue that comes to their attention. I don't know that there is an issue here that to come to the commission's attention, but that's, if there would become an issue with lack of attendance, and I think that would be pretty significant, somebody's just hardly ever here, then maybe that's something that goes to the commission.
Attorney Bear, would you mind reading what the definition of excused is in the bylaws? Like, what does that mean? Like, since they're not in our bylaws.
We don't have that.
Well,
in
if
So
the-
it's not in
if
our
it's not
bylaws.
in the
It's not in the bylaws.
Not in there.
But maybe
No.
it's something that should be, since it's become an issue.
I'm just saying it could be if you wanted it to be, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay, I have just a couple things to say. I think we are adults, and we probably don't need to get into what's an excused absence and what's not. It's probably gonna, defining that is really difficult. I've spent a lot of my career talking about absences for people in professional environments. I think planned absences and unplanned absences are different. I think all of us have things that come up last minute. I mean, I was just talking about things that happened to me recently that's going to probably make me unavailable for our training on Monday. But to me, I think that we might have a bigger conversation that we need to have as a group. And I don't know if that needs to be in a formal setting or offline, but I think we're having a lot of words coming about respect and some accusations being presented and things that I think are very concerning for all of us. And I don't like that personally. And I think that all of us are here because we care a lot about inclusivity in our community at large. I can't only speak for myself, but I've experienced that from everyone. But I do notice that there are messages and words that are quite disrespectful to board members and even to people who are here in the community, and I've witnessed it, and it makes me very uncomfortable. So I just want to say I think we need to talk about that at some point. In addition to maybe really the issue isn't really about attendance.
Pete, would you be opposed to having that conversation in the public domain? Allison?
I don't know if it's appropriate to have it in the public or not. I don't know, but I'm certainly comfortable sharing my thoughts here, and I've certainly felt disrespected by you, Remy, in the past.
Okay. And I have been disrespected by you also over the course of several meetings. And so I agree. And I am also open to having that conversation in the public domain. So Allison, I have found you to be extraordinarily disrespectful, passive-aggressive, and violent in your communication. Violent.
All right.
Violent.
I'm not comfortable continuing this conversation in public. I'm not even necessarily comfortable staying in the room at this point with the accusations that have just been made towards me.
Yeah, there's violent and nonviolent communication. Yeah.
Thank you. Obviously, the minutes are tabled till next month. All right. Well, normally we would have public meetings. Here's going to be the problem, and I suppose, Pete, I'm going to throw it over to you for you to get us up to speed. And if need be, Charlie can weigh in and give us direction on what we can and cannot do tonight and why. I already know all the answers to these questions, so I'm being like Bob Vila directing traffic up here, but Pete, why don't you explain?
Okay, yeah, so the reason I asked for the opportunity to start off is because this is, different than the usual public hearing scenario, because we began the public hearing for these 5 cases on West Cork Street, that is 112 West Cork Street through 132 West Cork Street. Those were presented at our February 12th meeting. The applicant spoke about the development project. We then opened a public hearing and took public comment, closed the public hearing, began a discussion phase, and that's where things concluded, and the board adjourned all 5 of the cases to this meeting, this May 14th meeting, to provide the applicant time to revisit the Natural Features Protection Review Board. And so that is, just to kind of catch up to where we're at, where we're picking up. And then as I noted in the staff report, the applicant did not go to the NFP board in either March or April, so there is not any additional information to share. In the ordinance process, it does outline that, the NFP review board shall review the request. Now, the applicant took that original request to the NFP board, but the applicant has now got a different development proposal that he's going to, or shall I say, a revised development proposal he's going to go over tonight. So, I just wanted to touch base on that. Is there anything else here to add? Well, the other comment I wanted to make was related to what was noticed publicly for tonight's meeting. The the additional information, which you all have hard copies of in front of you. I blew up the drawing, so it's an 11 by 17 to make it a little easier to see. But it is a revised layout with a single drive that will serve all 5 of the duplexes. And instead of the original layout that's in the packet that shows a single drive for each duplex. So, there is some discrepancy with what we publicly noticed for and what the new development layout shows. So I'll leave that to the applicant to speak on more. But again, the copies, of that information is in front of each board member, and we've also got it queued up on the computer for the applicant to talk about. So I'm sure there'll be other questions. So I will be available when that time comes.
So, the applicant wants to change the proposal, but that wasn't noticed for tonight, which means we can't hear it. I mean, you can talk on it all you want. I don't see the point. We can't hear it because the public hasn't been properly noticed of it.
That's correct.
So there's no point in hearing anything on that proposal, and if we're going to hear the other 5, they may not like the outcome of the vote, since we tabled it for the express purpose of going to the NFP, and it seems instead of going to the NFP, they got an alternate idea, which still has to go to the NFP.
The NFP ordinance requires any variance from the NFP overlay must be reviewed by the NFP board, and this board to then consider variance. After that review needs a copy of the recommendation from the NFP board. So since we have neither of those, that's another reason why this board can't proceed. So we don't have proper notice, and we don't have the required NFP review and recommendation.
So it sounds like that's getting tabled until the NFP's had their say on either the old 5 or the new 1, and we'll see you later. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waste anybody's time hearing about it if it's just going to go to the NFP and they're going to say, no, you need to do this or that or whatever. They might approve it, and then it comes back here, and we're like, great, I guess we don't like it or whatever, but they approved it, so we're good.
Pete, do we need to make a motion in regard to that, or?
Action does need to be taken of some sort on the application at hand. So, yeah, so this could be, moved to basically looking at the dates.
Did we vote on, sorry to interrupt, sorry Shelby for interrupting. Did we have to vote to table it before, or did I just make that decision? I don't recall. Did we vote? Thank you.
Yeah, but
That would require a motion.
Okay.
so,
It would be to set it over to a time certain. Essentially, we're dealing with a new matter. So,
Yeah.
there is going to, at the next meeting, there is going to have to be a public hearing.
So what's a good date then, Pete? I think that's what you were looking for.
Yeah, so what we could do date-wise would be to move it to the July meeting, and of course that date's not in front of me right now. Anyways, it would move to the July meeting. That would provide time for the June Natural Features Protection Review Board. So the board could, make a motion to move these requests
yeah, I'll make it.
to the July meeting.
Yes,
And
I'll
then-
make a motion for that. I make a motion for ZBA 2602-3 through ZBA 2602-07, that we table this for the July ZBA meeting.
I second that.
Thank you. Do we need to discuss on that? Do we need to take a roll call vote, or can we just voice vote it? We can voice vote it, why not?
I'm
Unless you
going
want
to
the roll.
defer to legal counsel. How,
I have a
do you want
suspicion it's
a
gonna go
voice
5-0
vote or a
anyway.
roll call?
But we can do a voice vote.
Thank you. All those in favor of tabling the requests until July, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, that is tabled until July. I think that runs to the end of our agenda items, but Pete's raising his finger.
One point of order. Who seconded the motion?
Beth seconded.
did.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, it sounds like we can be adjourned because we are out of items. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Shelby, did you want these back?